We don't actually exactly know.
No, I do. I don't know. Basically, the Mac's not compatible with the program that I use, so I had to download plugins for the audio, but I didn't know that.
Okay.
So I was like, it's basically one of those fuck moments, and it's lucky that we pulled the pin on it because I wouldn't have known. It would have taken a long time to fix it.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
All right, I'm going to get that link for you guys now and send it to you.
He's not a pit bull. He's a staffy.
Yeah,
Not a pit bull.
he's an English staffy.
Yeah,
They're just shorter and stockier. What pit bull bred from?
Nice.
on a mission from God.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the show. Hopefully, it's not just me talking this time. I'll just skip my introduction because you guys would have heard mine last time. I'm going to jump straight to Jedi. Jedi, mate, tell us where you're from, what you play, what you're up to.
Yeah, g'day everyone. Thanks for joining us for round 2. I'm JediKnightPeter, co-hosting with Ristic for the Biscuit for Xbox Infinite. I am from Melbourne, Australia, and I'm a gamer from way back, starting on the Commodore 64 days. My first console was the Super Nintendo, which I still have, and I've been with Xbox since the OG days. Over to Umbra.
Hey guys, thanks for coming through again. To all my fellas and such that came to give us patronage. Basically, I've been gaming as well for a long time, man. So 20 plus years, possibly actually longer than that. So, but I don't want to age myself. I'm shamed. No, I'm joking. But seriously, thank you all for coming out to support us and to hear us out. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And again, I'll apologise for the prior launch. It was a bit of a shit show. That's all on me. Infinite, what about your Umbra? Sorry, what about your Sierra 117 introduction?
This is Sierra 117. We'd like to thank you all for coming out to show us patronage. Cortana.
All right, so I've got a beer and I'm happy. Let's get into the topics, man. So first off the rank, we got Sega and Microsoft partnership. I personally think that this means for Microsoft and for us is that we're going to be getting Sega games in Game Pass. Maybe not day and date, but we'll definitely be getting some games. And possibly we might be getting some old IPs bumped up. So what about you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, look, I personally think that Sega are future, just basically considering their future options. The Azure network is the dominant network in the industry, and it just makes sense for Sega to join. From the Xbox side of things, what I think it'll mean, I think we're already getting the benefits of it. We've seen the Yakuza series already come to Game Pass. We've seen Streets of Rage already come to Game Pass. And in the future, we'll see Total War 3, maybe even Company of Heroes 3. Company of Heroes 2 is already on Game Pass on the PC side. And look, Sega are loving Game Pass. They have said it publicly numerous times. They pointed to the fact that 2 Point Hospital got 3 million players because of Game Pass. So, yeah, only good news in the future.
About you, Umbra?
Yeah, much the same for me. I mean, there was contention in the spaces on Twitter where, you guys will always almost typically find me. And it was basically it came to someone sharing a tweet and they were saying that we were saying, oh, it's an acquisition, but it's clearly not. But these guys were arguing that, oh, it's not going to be games that come out of this. It's not going to be anything exclusive. And I had to tell them, one, we did not argue that it was an acquisition. I don't want Microsoft to acquire them personally. That will be WB Games, Square Enix, etc.
Yeah.
But to lie to yourself and say that no games are coming out of this is delusional. Certainly games are going to come out of it. I wouldn't say that they'll be exclusive, but there'll definitely be games that comes out of this because you have Sarah Bond initiated into it. And she spoke on it a few times, obviously not to great detail, but you can see where she's saying this is great for gamers. She's not going to say that for nothing. And Sega, like Jedi pointed out, has a great relationship with Microsoft. It's one of the more organic, I'm doing that with quotation fingers, it's one of the more organic, moves that they could have made because Microsoft has plenty of games with Sega in their backlog, as well as the Yakuza games, entire series pretty much being added into Game Pass.
Yeah, man. Look, I don't see Microsoft making a deal at this time with anyone without getting something out of it for Game Pass. I think it'd just be a poor business move, personally.
Yeah, look, I agree, but with Sarah Bond leading it, it just shows that it is an Xbox initiative, not a Microsoft initiative, and I think that speaks volumes.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's a good thing. Like I said, I don't want them to be acquired personally, as many of their IP are older, like the Sonics, the Streets of Rage. Although Streets of Rage 4 is excellent, and if you haven't played it, I advise you all to do so.
Excellent game.
Yeah, but like I would want something more bombastic, something that's more relevant nowadays as far as acquisitions go. But getting Sega and then having them produce new games, or as they call them, super games, I'm all for it.
Yeah, look, I agree, Umbra. You hit the nail on the head. I don't want them to be acquired either. I think Sega are just too big to get acquired. Not so much too big, but their games are just historic. I mean, do we really want Sonic only on one platform? I think it should be shared by all. I also think that Japan is a very big adopter of technology, and their 5G network is, one of the best in the world. And pushing those games onto Game Pass, you can go back and you can play the original Sonics. You can go play back those original Sega games, which really showcase that generation. What do you think, Risket?
Yeah, but
Risket, are you there?
Risket, I think we were still waiting for Risket to come back.
Oh yeah, sorry, I had myself on mute.
I'm like, did the dog finally take him out? He was like, "Oh, you're gonna keep insulting me?"
Yeah, no, he's left. The little bugger left. What's a super game? Is my thoughts. Like, what is a super game? Is that like an online MMO? Is that like?
I would say so. I would say so. I would be thinking something that's new and
Like
a massively multiplayer online game.
Like a Facebook meta game, and then we're all going to like scan ourselves into the world and shit. Is that what we're?
Oh, please don't let it be that. But I think they kind of spoke on it. It's basically an initiative of what they're trying to do. It doesn't mean it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think so, at least, that it means it's going to be some type of MMO type of game, because I have almost zero interest in those types of games. So I'm hoping it's not the case. But from what it sounds like, it's just the initiative. And they just worded it. It seems kind of silly. I think it's basically them saying they're going to try to go for bigger experiences, like AAA, almost maybe AAA type of games. That's the way it reads to me.
Quadruple A. We're moving on to quadruple A.
And yeah, look, that harks back to what I was saying about
right.
Sega being forward facing. I think they're just getting their foot in the door to make sure that, if these type of games do start becoming big in the future, that they already have a foothold. And, we want Sega to be around forever. So, it can only be good news for both, I think.
So, have you guys been playing? Have you played Call of Duty, Umbra? I don't think I've seen you on it yet.
No, I avoided Call of Duty. I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty. It's too samey all the time. It's too hectic when you actually play online against people, because the TTK for it is just insanely fast. If you get the jump on somebody, pretty much that you've won, or vice versa. It's just not fun to me. But I've seen plenty of impressions, and experiences people have had from it, and they've all been negative.
Yeah, right. Well, I mine's pretty positive, man. I actually got Call of Duty just for the campaign, and I've mostly played the campaign. I played a little bit of multiplayer yesterday. It's pretty much exactly the same as Modern Warfare 2019, man. It's the same game. It's just reskinned. That's pretty typical. But the campaign's not bad. I might be a little bit swayed because they've got the Aussies in there. Bit disappointing that the Aussie hero is actually based on a Kiwi, which is a bit of a rip-off of New Zealand, man. It's a bit unfortunate for New Zealand, and there's plenty of Aussie heroes they could have chosen.
Can you elaborate for us American folks? Now, what does that mean when you say that? Because when you say kiwi, I'm thinking of the fruit.
Kiwi is a word we use to describe New Zealanders because of the kiwi bird, which is native to New Zealand. But it is a term of endearment.
Yeah, yeah, we love them. We love it's like Canadians for you guys.
Just like we would call the US Yanks.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. Yeah. Well, I saw your impression of it, and I think you said it took you like 5 hours to do the campaign. That's really, really short.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's only 5 hours long. I haven't totally completed it yet, but I'm at the last stages of it. So I'm only I'll be about 4 hours in. So I was kind of thinking I'm pretty close to the end there.
I played Call of Duty with you yesterday, Riska. I only just joined in on the multiplayer. What do you think about the multiplayer? Do you prefer the campaign, or do you prefer the multiplayer so far?
I'm a COD player, so I kind of go all right at COD. I'm not saying I'm the man, but I go all right on most games.
Oh, you got a couple of MVPs yesterday, mate.
But it's the same shit in a different package every single time, and I would like to see Call of Duty go back to the drawing board and start again with a brand new game, an actual brand new game, not just a reskinned IP. What did you think of it, Pete?
Look, this is the 19th installment of Call of Duty, so...
Oh, Pete's dropped out. He will be back shortly.
He was sniped by the Call of Duty gods.
Yeah.
They heard me slandering, and they were like, take him out.
Take him out. Yeah, look, I know Pete. Pete loved it. He enjoyed the game. But yeah, as I said, same old game. But it's got some pretty stiff competition this year in Battlefield. Well, I personally don't think so. I was pretty underwhelmed would be the word. I'm being real nice about it at the moment. But Battlefield Beta, my experience wasn't great. If they release that game broken, I'm going to be fuming. What about you? Did you play that beta?
My buddies did, and actually my buddies played. One of my buddies, at least, in our group, played Call of Duty as well. Now he's excited for it. He's a Call of Duty fan. Steph, he's a big Call of Duty fan, and despite our slander of it, he was like, "Oh, I bought it anyway," so it didn't mean anything to him. So I hope you guys do enjoy it. I will say that much. It's just not the game for me. But as far as Battlefield, I'm very adverse to any game that just offers multiplayer. I have to have a single player component, even if it's as short as 5 hours as Call of Duty. I need something, and although that's kind of like unacceptable to me, but that I would need that component too to pull me forward, because I'm not a big fan of just doing multiplayer only type of things. You know what I mean?
I kind of don't mind. The short campaigns. Yeah, you're back, mate. You're back. I don't mind those short campaigns. Because I'm not that time poor at the moment, because my partner's left and gone to the UK for a month. But normally I'm pretty time poor, So having a short campaign to feel I've got some completion is I think, to me, a good thing. That might just be because I'm an old bastard, but
yeah. But how short is too short? I think 5 hours is too short. I remember when COD was 10 to 12 hours, and people were complaining that was too short. I think we all come from a generation where we're used to paying for 20-hour games, and I think 15 hours should be that sweet spot. I think 5 hours is far too short.
Yeah, look, I can understand now. But you think they're just not putting in the effort anymore? It's true. They're not putting in the effort. It's pretty clear. Come on, they reskin the same game over and over.
So let me ask you,
in saying that, it is. Sorry, you go, Umbra.
if that's the case, Risky, like if it's just like a reskin of was it modern? What did you say it was? 2019, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, 19. Yeah,
2019.
If it's that to you guys, then you notice it and you can clearly point that out. You don't feel like this is a waste of my time and money. That doesn't you don't feel that way about it.
Yeah. Look, that could be a prince. I like to have the newest things, I guess. Like it's one of those. I got to have the new toy type thing, which I guess they rely on. So I feel like I'm not alone.
I also think it's each to their own. Depending on your circumstance, you know what you're getting with COD. You're going to get a pretty good campaign, regardless of the length. And if you're into the multiplayer, then you're going to have a great time.
And graphically,
personally, I like zombies.
Graphically, it's
zombies
stunning.
that's what I'm into.
It's graphically
it's
a stunning
amazing
game.
Yep.
And, it's got Fidelity FX. It's the first Xbox game I've seen have Fidelity FX. So I was pretty excited when I saw that, and it does definitely make a difference to the game's graphics. So, I guess that's a good thing. But
I
you're right.
wanted to ask Umbra about that. When you actually go into the menus, you have to click on to Fidelity FX, and I was thinking that is a little bit strange. If it does improve it so much, why isn't it toggled on already? Why isn't it already on yes? The fact that you have to toggle on to yes, I think, is a little bit worrisome. What do you think about that, Umbra?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see your point of view there. To have to toggle that on, but I guess they have their reasons for it. What did you think? What did you think that was for? Like, if you had to give them to play devil's advocate, why would you think that they did that?
I would think that the software isn't working as intended.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a little bit of a problem. It's there to graphically improve the game without negatively impacting the frame rate. And so that can only be a good thing. So the fact that it is off suggests to me that it is not working as intended.
Yeah, I think that's possibly what it is then. So I guess they kind of gave it as a way of a workaround. I guess in that case, I'm okay with it if it's going to be a technical issue on their part. I guess
It
better
is
to have
new.
some type of solution.
I
It
didn't,
is new, and we all understand that.
I didn't see any technical issues after turning it on. I played it for a bit because it was turned off. I played it for a bit without it. It's definitely dropping frames. It probably should have been held back, but it's pretty standard for Call of Duty. This is pretty standard things. So Battlefield. Just wanted to have a quick chat
Honestly,
about
I
Battlefield.
think it drops frames more than any other COD that I've seen, especially at launch.
Yeah.
It drops frames constantly.
Yeah,
And,
look,
How
it
low did the
can-
frames drop for you?
that's true. That's true.
Like, if Jedi, how low did the frames drop for you? If you know, like,
I don't know the exact numbers, but it is extremely noticeable where you'd get a 2-second delay.
oh no,
Yeah,
that's not, that's
that
no good.
bad. And it was happening constantly. I would say minimum on a 5-minute basis, I'd be getting it. And when you're playing multiplayer, it's extremely frustrating. I haven't personally experienced the campaign yet. I've only gone into multiplayer, but I'll get back to you on that next week.
I wasn't having that much of an issue with it personally, man. It wasn't that bad for me. But I want to move on. Let's move on to the Battlefield beta, the Battlefield, because that's coming out. What is that? The 11th? Is that right?
Yeah, so I think it's 11th of November,
Yeah,
11th or 15th of November, something like that, mate.
It's coming up pretty quick, isn't it? Did you guys
Remembrance Day.
Did you guys play the Battlefield beta? What did you think?
You go, Umbra.
I actually didn't. I've seen my guys play it though, and I felt a little FOMO. I was like, I'm missing out. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not a big fan of multiplayer only type of games, so it's not something I would be interested in. And I think, and I hate to drag it into this, but Halo has my full attention, so it's kind of hard to, to give it to any other first-person shooter type of game right now.
Yeah, look, I'm a Battlefield player from way back. I'm hardcore. I was hardcore about it. I only played. If you look at my gamer score, my credentials, you'll see that it's not super high. That's because I spent a lot of time in Battlefield from, I think, Battlefield 2 all the way up until 5. But I'm just tired. I'm really tired of seeing Battlefield release broken games like DICE. EA pushes it out the door. So I just think, to me, I'm not going to give them my money, basically, simply for the fact that they're not trying to make games for gamers. They're trying to make money for businesses. It's not.
Yeah, look, that's a shout out to Riskit's video about Battlefield 42. I would recommend watching that video. It's hilarious. But yeah, look, I played the flight as well, and I think it was a broken, buggy mess. When I got into the game, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's
when I was actually fighting against humans and not bots.
Yeah, that's the upsetting thing. Is it was such a it had such a great base of the game. Like, it could be absolutely amazing as a game, but it's just broken, and that kind of that just I can't do it again. I can't go through another Battlefield 4, man. It'll kill me.
Yeah, and look,
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate because after the absolute disaster of Battlefield 5, they tried to go back to their fans. They tried to bring back a game for their original fans. They did play a lot of fan service, and so many people were hyped after that amazing trailer that they dropped, you know, with all those epic only in Battlefield moments. And so they had the community in the palm of their hands. And for them to drop the ball again, I think the community has moved on from allowing these broken games to be launched. I think Halo Infinite is showing the way for the future. We don't care if the game is delayed. Don't worry about getting into that holiday period that they're all so worried about. Just release the game when it's done.
Yeah. And with Battlefield, that's the thing that's so crazy because, like I said, I have no interest in multiplayer only games. But seeing the trailer for that even made me hyped. I was like, maybe I will play this. You know, so that show, I can only imagine how it was for actual, you know, longtime fans.
Oh man,
But for them to drop the ball, like you said, that's got to hurt.
I was jumping out of my seat, man, especially when they did that bit with the old, I can't remember the name of the guy who did the video, but jumping out of the plane and shooting the rocket launcher. That, I was like, woo, yeah, let's fucking do this. And then they released this broken mess, man. Look, it's just disappointing to see EA making the same mistakes over and over again. And it's a live service game. This is a live service game that you're still going to be making money off down the track. You need that initial hit. I understand the holiday initial hit, but look, they should be playing the long game because this is a game that they could run up for 10 years, like Halo. So as a bit of a segue, you mentioned Halo.
I think Halo has captured all our attention.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why we started this podcast, and it is called Xbox Infinite. You know, a montage to Halo Infinite. That
great choice. Great
What
choice.
did you think about it, Risset?
Oh, Halo. Oh, man, look, I'll let Umbra go first because I've got a bit to say on this. Umbra knows kind of my history with Halo and my recent history with the Halo. So I'll let Umbra go, man, because he's a long time fan.
Yes, thank you. I am a longtime fan. I know many of you guys in the audience probably are too. I know my buddies in the chat are, but you know, it's something to see a franchise or a series you love so much, you've loved so much for so long, to get its due, to get its shine, and for people to see it in ways you see it. So I'm really grateful that we had these flights, and it brought back that love, that feeling. Right, because I compare it to playing Halo 3 and 5, and Reach, I would say, just because of the customization. So we had 3, I think you can get that feel for it, 5 because of the movement, and Reach because of the customization. And you can feel it, man. The grapple shot feels great to use. The big team battle was fun, although I got my ass handed to me quite a few times.
Yeah. There's some sweaty
Gotta
Halo
love
players.
those Spanish ghosts. Gotta love those Spanish ghosts. Gotta love when the team has 2 scorpions and you guys have got none.
It happened to us one time too. I was like, "Oh, they got the tank." But you know, it's something to be said about having an experience where you lose or you're on the losing side of things and you still loved it. So that's the thing I took away from the flights rather. It just felt right. You know what I mean? Everything felt good. The shooting, the sound, the movement, and you know, and they kind of solved the whole sprint issue that had long been an issue with split the fan base, because you can still sprint now, although it's very minuscule compared to 5 and even 4. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice medium, I think, and it just everything just feels like 343 took a lot of what we were talking about to heart and fixed a lot of things. Now, I will say that they're not perfect, right? Because clearly there's some things they could have and should have done better. And I mean, we all know about the delays of the co-op campaign and Forge. So those are definitely black eyes for them, right? Although the way I look at it is that we still have the grand majority of everything. And co-op campaign isn't as big to me as it is to others. So it's hard for me to kind of fully relate, though I do understand for those who really wanted it and they did rely on it. So I sympathize, but I had a good time
a really good time. The 4v4s were great too.
Yeah. Pete, what
Yeah,
was,
look,
what was your experience like, mate?
I absolutely loved it. I can sum up playing Halo Infinite in one word: fun. Back to fun gaming. I had an absolute blast.
Hang on
playing
a
with
minute. So you're saying that PlayStation games wouldn't appreciate Halo?
I think all true gamers will appreciate Halo. I'm not sure about the Pegasus Nation. I think they're on some type of drugs, but all gamers can appreciate Halo. It's fantastic that it's coming out for both PC and Xbox day and date. That's the first time that's happened for a Halo game. It just means, more eyeballs on it. It means the community is going to get bigger and better. And I personally think it will win the battle of the first-person shooters this holiday season. And I think it was Halo Reach the last time that happened. So,
Yeah, look,
over 10 years ago.
I think there's a big something that we haven't really talked about, but just quickly, I'll say my history with Halo is was checkered. I think we've spent the last 2 weeks, me, Pete, and a few of the boys, just playing our way through the Halo campaigns from 2 all the way through to 5, and we got it done in Legendary.
You're actually watching it. That's what you're watching. That's us playing on Halo Legendary.
Yeah, we got it done. It was tough, but great games and great stories. I didn't know how great this game was, and then after playing the flight before even playing these games, man, it's probably one of the best releases in, I would have to say, years for multiplayer. But we don't know about the campaign yet, and I have some pretty serious concerns. So I just want to. My concern is that they turn this thing into a Ubisoft game. That's my worry. Yeah. If they do that, I think it's gonna really hurt the community. It's gonna hurt the game. But if they execute what they're saying they have, well, it could be a banger. What do you think, Pete?
Look, I think that the jury's still out. Halo is great when you get into those open areas and you're allowed to tackle, the area any way that you see fit, whether that be going in guns blazing, whether that be holding back and using, your sniper rifles, whether that be jumping on a ghost or a wraith or a scorpion. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Halo Infinite. That campaign...
Oh, Pete's dropped out again. Peter's dropped out again. Umbra, we'll jump to you. And we'll get your thoughts on what you think is going to happen with this whole campaign. And do you have any concerns?
I don't really have too many concerns, but then again, I guess I'm kind of the wrong guy to ask because I don't really get too concerned about anything, right? Like, I feel like everything is going to work out in the end. That's the way I am. But as far as Halo goes, I can see why some would think, oh yeah, it's going to be Ubisoft-ish with how they're, having us attack these like strongholds and things like that. I can definitely see that worry, but I think it all matters on how it's implemented, how it's done, how it's, how they use it, and if it's overly done.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah. G'day, Pete.
So where did you guys lose me?
Oh, we've all shifted around. So I'm called Umbra.
Go on, bro. You go, bro.
No, I was just saying, like, I'm not worried about it because I feel like they've nailed down what they expect, well, what fans expect at least. So I think, like Jedi was speaking on, where he said that, they allow us to have these big open areas where we can, kind of use the sandbox to any way we feel like playing it and using it. And having the mobility of the grapple shot, that helps with that. That helps with the creativity of what we can do.
Yeah,
having having the booster pack, whatever, the slide, whatever, how we may want, added with the new RPG elements to it to go invisible, whatever. All these things, like, it's so much. I think it's going to be so many options on, like, to be creative, and I think that's what's going to help carry it through.
I know Jason Statham did get rid of a few of the RPG elements. I think that he got rid of the inventory system. He just said it wasn't Halo. But I wanted to ask you guys what you think about the upgrades to the grapple shot, to the shields.
Yeah, well, that's...
Do you think that's Halo, or do you think that that is going to RPG?
That's my concern with Halo and it going in a Ubisoft way. Those upgrades in the inventory and using points to buy this and that instead of just having your loadout or whatever you pick up off the battlefield. And that, to me, after playing it, picking shit up off the battlefield, that's Halo. That's what you do instead of upgrading things. But look, the other
I'm a little torn on that.
The other side of the coin is it a bad thing for Halo to get this upgrade, to a Ubisoft game? If they execute it well, it could be good.
Yeah, it wasn't getting stale. I mean, we're fans from way back. We will always love Halo. Yes, I know Halo 5 was a massive disappointment, but I think we all still played it. But we were just all disappointed. Did it need this refresh, or do you think they could have gone, the Halo 4 route, which really, if you go back to, I know it divided the fans, but I personally loved the campaign in Halo 4. I loved the intimacy between Cortana and Master Chief. I think it humanized Master Chief. I think, yes, it was a little bit too short, and some people could say that the Forerunner weapons weren't the best, but the actual story in the campaign was amazing. For the first time, you saw the human side of Master Chief. He just wasn't so robotic.
A controversial view. What do you think, Umbra? I know what you think.
100% agreed. I mean, I've expressed it many times in spaces or other, and Twitter, other social media sites. That's how I feel. Halo 4, and it's funny because I've said it once and I'll always say it. Halo fans are a very tough crowd to please. Mm-hmm. They're very much, I would put them second under Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. It's very tough to nail down exactly what everybody wants, because there's so many of us that wants something specific. And so 343 is kind of in a tough position, right? But I agree that 4, storytelling wise, narrative wise, was well done. And it's crazy because a lot of Halo fans were mixed at first. They didn't like 4 story wise. And years later, they came around to an understanding it was a great story and it humanized Chief. And it's so funny because even in the books, they had to make a point that he was dehumanized to be the super soldier. So that they did a good job of breaking that down, and showing how he needed Cortana, even though she's this artificial intelligence, and that's the closest thing he had to somebody that was, a loved one to him, to somebody that was real to him. But I'll also add just a correction, but because I often hear everybody say this. You said Jason Statham. It's actually Joe Staten, but oftentimes...
Sorry, mate.
What's his name?
Apology made it. Joe Staten, but it was said Jason Statham.
Oh,
and people often
I get him mixed up with Jason Statham.
Yeah, Jason, the action hero.
Everybody says it. I heard it. I was laughing. I'm like, I can't stop you mid flow. So, but no. And I'll say this just to your point, Risky. I think that 5, it could be some concern if they go too far with the Ubisoftisms. But I think we just have to see. We have to give it a chance, right? I don't want to prejudge and I don't think that'll be good. Because I think when you position yourself that way, you come in with a negativity already for that game, right? And I don't want to do that, especially for a franchise or something I love so much. So I'm willing to give them a chance. And the story is what matters overall. If the gameplay is solid, which we know it is from playing multiplayer, then I'm pretty sure we can create on the fly how we want in the sandbox. And if the story is solid, I think that matters more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
On the points to Halo 4, after playing it for the first time and back-to-backing it, that story was amazing. It pushed the lore forward and it pushed the story forward in a way that was meaningful. So I loved it. Thought it was a great game. Reach is my favorite, but 4 was great. 4 was amazing. I think we probably better move to the game of the week, if not the year, Forza 5. I haven't played it, so I haven't got a whole lot to say, but I can say it looks absolutely stunning. I know IGN gave it a masterpiece, which is pretty out of control for a racing game. Games Radar was a 5 out of 5, VGC 5 out of 5. There was many other outlets, media outlets, that gave it their top marks. I'm going to go to Umbra for this one because apparently it's a technical masterpiece. What do you think?
All those things with the 10 out of 10s and the 5 out of 5s and the A's and the must buys, and it's all a lie. The game is terrible. No, okay. I couldn't even continue with that nonsense. The game is simply a masterpiece, I have to say. And it sounds weird to say it for racers, right? I think we've been conditioned to be like, it's just a racer. I think that's been the conditioning we've had as gamers. Mm-hmm. But no, the game is a masterpiece for what it's accomplishing as a racer. It does everything pretty much right. It's very hard for me to pick any negatives. I'm just being honest. And the sound is improved. The cars sound magnificent. I was playing with my buddy Paul earlier in Grum, and I switched to the cockpit view to actually hear how it sounds. I say cockpit like I'm in F1 racing. I switched to the inside. I switched to the passenger, the driver's seat view, I guess I should say. And man, it's crazy to hear it, like the differences between hearing it outside the car and then inside.
Yeah,
the sound is crazy, man. I
heard they did. They got 200 different car sounds from all the different cars, and then when they were doing the sound, they I think they had 6 or 7 different positions that they picked the sound up. But that could be wrong, but yeah, apparently this sounds.
Yeah, look, I love how they used the ray tracing silicone and dedicated that for sound. It just shows the versatility of the Xbox Series consoles. And I think that's not said, enough. And Playground isn't. Everyone was saying that ray tracer's not going to be there, but they're using it in a different way. Ray tracing, the silicone doesn't need to be used for ray tracing. Them using it for the sound just shows what's possible with these amazing consoles.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll just say, to add to that, I mean, outside of the sound, which is just magnificent, the visuals, dear Lord. Like I picked up, and I was telling Jedi earlier, I picked up the LG C1 65-inch about a month ago, maybe a month and a half.
Yeah.
And fellas, if I could just convince you, and you had the money for it, or whatever you guys could get it, if you can get the LG CX or the C1 or the one that's above mine, the G1, please do so. I think every gamer, if I had the money to do so, I would gift all my buddies one just so they could see it too, if they didn't have one. It's crazy how far we've come in technology, and to see how great this game looks and plays on this thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
especially when you think back. When you think back to those old days where you didn't even have a remote for your TV. I might be showing my age here. You had to get up and go over and click the thing to a different channel. And now we got widescreens.
Exactly. And I think even if you played this on any TV, really, I think outside of some old floor model or something, you're gonna be in awe, because the game is just beautiful. And yeah, I will say this too. I was playing with my buddy, and I said it's kind of tough. Like, I used to be one of those people that didn't care too much about the technical aspects of games, and to now see the game running and play so many games rather in 60 frames per second on the Xbox Series X, it's kind of hard to go back to 30 frames. It really is.
Oh man!
And I'm playing in performance mode, so I'm playing at 4K 60.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's just buttery smooth, no hitches, nothing. I mean, it's immaculate. And I haven't tested out quality mode yet, but I can only imagine, because the quality mode is for the visual improvements, and so I can only imagine how much greater the game looks in quality mode.
Playground is, I think, one of the best developers in the business, not just in Sony's, in Xbox's stable, but in the business. And Forza is the preeminent racing game. Quality mode is still in 60 frames, if anyone was wondering. It just ups the visuals. But really,
I thought
you compare the two side by side.
I thought quality was in 30 frames.
Is it? Is it in 30, is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in 30
Yeah.
frames. Yeah.
Yeah, quality is
Yeah,
30
look,
frames.
I played in performance. Then I think a racing game needs to be played in 60 frames. I think that's a big jump that we get this generation.
Look, any game. Look, I'm a bit more on the graphics than you, Pete. I know you always say graphics are the most important. No, you don't say that. You always say
gameplay is the most important thing.
Yeah, I know you always say gameplay is the most important thing. I lean on graphics a little bit, personally, but you can't now play a game at 30 frames. I just couldn't do it. I tried to go back with Fallen Order and play that with its quality mode in 30. I couldn't do it. It's just jarring. It really is.
It's tough,
yeah,
man.
it's funny. I think we all got used to playing in 30 frames on console, and we'd always hear the PC guys saying, no, you can't be playing it. But we didn't really notice it. Once you get these consoles in your hand, I promise you, you will notice it, and it makes the world a difference. It just makes everything feel sharp.
So true. And like I said, I was one of those guys. Playing on the Xbox One and such, or PS4, I was like, who needs 60 frames? So what? What's the big deal? Blah, blah, blah. And then I started playing more games at 60 frames, and I was like, okay, I see the PC guys. Their master race was correct all along.
Yeah, they were, and it's so bad. I hate saying that, but they were right.
Well, this kind of moves me. This kind of moves me to my next point.
I just want to say one more thing about Forza.
We're still on Forza. Go.
I am not a racing fan. I played Project Gotham back in the day, and I know Forza's a spiritual successor to that. Me and Umbra were talking about this before, but really what I wanted to say is I want to see Fable. I want to see what Playground Games can do after seeing the absolute beautiful masterpiece that is Forza 5. Fable is going to be amazing, and I didn't think I could get any more hype for this game, but after seeing that, I am.
Yeah, it's Fable's going to be a banger. It's definitely going to be a banger. I don't see Playground making a bad graphically and performance-wise game. Story-wise, let's see.
Risky guys. Pyro in the comments said Forza Horizon series is only a third of it is actually racing. He said he spent 20 hours just exploring and having fun, 5 hours actually racing, 4 hours rewinding.
And taking photos, man. Taking photos.
Shout out to Brum in the chat saying that when you try 120 FPS for the first time, it's like opening Pandora's box. Yeah, I agree, mate. I'm not as well off as Umbra. I don't have the LG, but I have the Sony X900H, which is capable of doing 120 frames. And not only is it just amazing, I think you get a competitive advantage in these PvP games. So yeah, I'm loving that. I'm loving my kill death ratio in Call of Duty going up.
See, my missus won't let me have her. She's not won't let me have, but she just doesn't see the. I'm like, babe, we gotta spend this $3,000. She's like, $3,000? We've already got 2 TVs. We don't need another one. Like, we need another one. We need another one. Yes, we do. You don't understand. But it's moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy, which is on this point, though, which is on this exact point. Look, I've played the game. It looks amazing, even in 1080p. So it's in 1080p at performance mode at 60 frames. It still looks amazing. I can't really see the difference. My TV does 60 frames. It's got 4K HDR, the whole bit. Doesn't do 120 yet. But is this acceptable? Is this an acceptable way to put out a game with these consoles? With what Forza just put out? 4K upscaled at 60. And then you're putting out with the detail that's in that game. So that kind of removes the argument that it's the detail that was holding the game back in Guardians of the Galaxy. They could obviously put the detail in and upscale it to 4K and run it at 60 frames per second. What held this game back? Well, do you think it was held back? Umbra, what do you think, mate?
I really do not know. I much like you, I agree. The game is just visually beautiful. I've loved it. I'm going through my second playthrough to get all the rest of the achievements. I can't honestly say, man, on the technical side of the things like that, I have to find out more. All we can do is speculate, but Maybe it was just some limitations on their end. I don't know, but I will say this: the 1080p at 60 did not hurt it at all. It
No.
plays really pretty well. So if
Yeah.
I think if anyone is on the fence about that because of the 1080p part, don't be, because the game is still really really fun. I would give it a 7.5, if not an 8 out of 10. You know, I've heard some say it was their game of the year. I disagree with that as far as like giving it that much of a high rank, but I think it is well worth paying for. Maybe if you guys wanted to wait for like a sale, Black Friday sale or something like that, and get it for cheaper or whatever, or wait and just get it cheaper in general, I would say do so. But it's definitely worth playing.
Yeah,
Look,
go.
Sorry, mate, you go. Yeah, so I was going to say that Edius Montreal, this is their first try for this generation of consoles. They have a storied history in making great games. I love the Deus Ex games. I think they're absolutely amazing. The 1080p thing, I'm hoping that we do get a next-gen upgrade coming. I know that they're using dynamic lighting, and I know that that does put a little bit of pressure on the system. In saying that, I would still play this in the 60 FPS mode. The game looks beautiful. You know, the art style, everything about it looks amazing. It got an 8 out of 10 on IGN. On Metacritic, it was sitting at a score of 83 and a user score of 87. I think it just proves that narrative games are here to stay, whatever anyone says. You know, live service games aren't going to take over the industry. There is a place for these story-driven narrative experiences.
Oh, definitely. I think PlayStation's proved that 10 times over. Like, you can't argue with that single player, over-the-shoulder, third-person, you know, story-driven experience. And personally, I think that Xbox needs more of them. Excuse me.
Yes, I agree.
I'm drinking a beer over here.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I agree.
I agree 100%.
Yep, same.
Hopefully they are coming. But PlayStation really does lead the way with this. The Last of Us.
With that one type
Uncharted,
of game.
Ghost and Tsushima.
Yeah.
I mean,
but with that one type of game, they lead the way. When it comes to diversity,
Xbox have so many different type of games that PlayStation don't have.
Exactly. Diversity is what Xbox has.
Yep, and I think that shines through in Game Pass. You know, the amount of games that I've been able to try because of Game Pass that I would never have picked up is just phenomenal. I mean, I wouldn't have bought the Ascent, but the world building in that game is absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't have tried Oh No, you know, these smaller type of games. You know, just the other day, It Takes Two came on there, and I personally think that's one of the games of the year. I recommend everybody try it out. It's on Game Pass Ultimate now through EA Play. Check it out, guys. It's amazing. Get a friend, get a co-op buddy, and go through that game.
What about you? What about you, Umbra? Have you played that Take Two?
It Takes Two?
Yeah. That's the one.
I have. I still have to beat it, but I agree with them on that. I often kind of forget to include it in my Game of the Year roundups when I think about things, and maybe it's because we had so many great games this year, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, it's well worth playing. If you guys feel like it's kiddie or I don't like the whole co-op thing, I would definitely advise to get over it because the game is great. Honestly.
So
you hear that,
Lincoln
Lincoln?
Hawk Truffel is asking if they think that you are only playing. What do we think about only being able to play as Star-Lord?
Look, it doesn't. It would have been better. It would have been a lot better to play as the full team. But the way that the combat is handled and the way that they use the team, definitely makes up for that loss. Not completely, but almost. I think. And look, you know, I'm trying not to swear on this stream, but I'm Australian, and I think they really fucked up with Avengers.
Yeah, I agree. I think they had the same two Avengers like.
Yeah, they had the same combat all the way through each character with Avengers, and this game, I think they've really made up for it. The 1080p, they try to ignore that. If you look at it behind the game, it looks stunning. It looks amazing. I don't even notice that. Played at 60 frames, played in 1080p, but I wanted to know why they did that. What was the choices behind that? I don't think we'll ever know. But It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the dynamic lighting, and also the fact that this is the first game that Eidos has put out onto these next generation of consoles. They probably would have started development for this game a while ago, and they would have done the development focusing on the PS4, Xbox One generation. I do think that we will get a Series X and PlayStation 5 upgrade in time, but do I think that you should wait for that? I don't think so. The game is fantastic. The banter between the characters is amazing. The art style is, something that I really haven't seen in gaming. It's truly a AAA experience, and I recommend everybody pick it up.
I agree with that. I would also add, it has a lot of things that I like with games like this, where you go to get like collectibles and things like that, and outfit changes, costume changes, whatever you will have you. And they have a lot of that. So it gives you incentive to explore a bit in these little semi-open world parts that you would go in. The only negatives that I would say, because I do want to give you guys some more of a full picture, is the combat could use some improvement. I would say it gets repetitive. Yeah, it gets repetitive and I think it's also because of the fact that you just play as Peter. So you kind of just get you get to fly around, dodge, and just shoot. Right now, you get to command the other Guardians by like using some like their specials or whatever, commanding them to use their specials. But as far as having full control of your one person, his movements or his moves are limited. So it does feel.
And his weapons feel like they're kind of. I saw IGN say this as well, but after playing it, like his weapons do feel underpowered. He feels like he's shooting a pea shooter. And it could have been more tactical. I'll 110% agree with that. They could have put a little bit more tactility. Did I just make up a word?
I think it's enough to get you through the story, but that banter between the characters, because they are such great characters, I think that gets you through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a little bit off-putting at the start when they're not playing as the same characters that we've seen on the big screen. But I think you get over that quite quickly, and they honestly become, their own Guardian team. It's amazing. It really is.
I agree, and I would say after a while you kind of get past that thought, and you kind of just get the full. It's really a game that focuses on everybody. You play as Peter, but it does give everybody their shine, I would say. And so you'll get used to it. And then, like you said, the banter is so perfectly done. It does feel like you're watching a movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Great soundtrack. Great soundtrack.
Yeah, great soundtrack too. I agree.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, how good is it? You can go.
You can, in a game for a
you
while.
can go into the ship and put on whatever song you want whilst you're running around the. I was like, "Don't Fear the Reaper," some old school hits, man. Like, aha, you've got aha in there.
He says, "Don't fear the Reaper."
Tainted. Yeah,
I love that song.
I love it. Man.
Tainted Love. Oh my God, Tainted Love. I was running around the ship with Tainted Love, and they're all arguing. So good. Love that game.
That's what the game's about. See, there you go. That's what the game's about. See, I think we can all agree that they really did nail it, that part of the game.
Absolutely. Elden Ring dropped a 15-minute gameplay video, and listen, before you get going, Pete, because I know that you're a Souls fan. I'm not, and so what I wanted to say about this is, look, the gameplay is king. I agree with that. But graphically, this game is, again, underwhelming.
Shout out to Pyro. Go Blue Oyster.
This game's underwhelming. They could have done a bit more with the graphics. The whole narrative about them reusing assets, fuck that. Who cares about them reusing assets? That's fine. Reuse assets, man. But I want to see you jazz it up. I want to see you put a bit of a sheen on the game. I want to see a little bit more time spent. Like, take another year. Like, put some more graphic. We're in a new generation of machines. I want the best experience.
You're totally missing the point of a Souls game. Totally missing the point of a Souls game. It is nothing about that. It is all about the gameplay mechanics. And in saying that, the graphics look amazing. I'm sorry, but your outfits, your night outfit, the attention to detail
Go on, Pete,
on
no,
those
go.
outfits is absolutely amazing. The fact that you can see halfway across the map when you're on an elevated platform.
That's because they're not using
with
the
no popping,
CPU or
amazing.
GPU. They're not using it. It's basically using the tiniest part. Yeah, look, we can argue.
The game looks amazing. Gameplay is king. I love the fact that they've put everything that they learned in Dark Souls, in Sekiro, in Bloodborne. They've put them all together in one amazing looking package. The fact that the world has been built by George R. Martin, and I am probably gonna butcher his name, but it's Hitaka Miyazaki. How can you go wrong? Those guys are geniuses, and they are the ones behind this world. The storytelling has always been a little bit different in Dark Souls, where the world tells you the story. I'm interested to see where they go in this. I've heard that they're going to go a little bit more deeper into the story. Really interested in to see how they tackle that. But, the weapon moves, the different stances. I'm a big Magic player when it comes to Dark Souls. The introduction of the soul shards coming down out of the sky, or the 3 arrows being shot. Looks absolutely amazing. Cannot wait. The fact that they have taken away that obstacle of having to have those
co-op? You talking about co-op? You talking about the easy co-op? Yeah. That looks good. That looks good, man. It does. I'm just kind of ragging on the game a little bit because I know it upsets you, but it does look a little bit underwhelming, but the gameplay does look solid. I hope they make it easier because I get my asses kicked in Souls games.
No,
don't say no.
That's what Souls is all about.
I will say this. I'll just add to that. I will say I definitely see what Brisket is talking about, but it's much like I see it with Halo. So I see where Pete is coming from, because he's like, nah. This game looks great. The gameplay looks solid. Is what we want as Souls fans. So the graphics are secondary. So I definitely understand that point of view. I would say, seeing it, I expected them to kind of have a bit more too. But I would say, man, when I saw this new trailer, I was blown away. Like, to see how the dragon flew in and to see the scope of the game, it really did impress me. I'm actually very excited for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say the fact that you don't need humanity now to get into a co-op game, so they've taken away that obstacle for people. You no longer need humanity to go into co-op with your mates, which is amazing. It takes away that barrier. The fact that you can bring in your friends and go through the entire world, take on the bosses, it's just going to be a great experience.
Yeah,
the fact that they've added that stealth element into it as well, where you don't need to take on every fight.
That's something that's probably going to draw me towards the game, is having the co-op and the help. Because look, I got Sekiro because they kind of touted it as a slightly easier Souls game. And man, that first boss just kicked the shit out of me. Like, I must have gone back 20 times, and I was like, nah, eject, delete, no more.
Who fooled you, by the way, and told you it was an easier version?
I don't know, man, but someone like,
set you up.
they had me over a barrel.
Yeah, look, I mean, with Dark Souls, you can soul farm. So there's absolutely no reason to make it easier. You can find an area that your player specifically is really good at getting through and soul farm that area, up your stats, and therefore be able to get past the next boss.
Only an Xbox down there says Sekiro is easy work. I don't know, man. I'm going to need to see your credentials, bro. I'm going to need you to show me those credentials.
I didn't personally get the same enjoyment out of Sekiro as I did out of a Dark Souls game. I think they went a different route. I can understand what they did. They wanted to add the more PvP aspect of Dark Souls into a game. that was fine, but personally I didn't get the enjoyment or that satisfaction out of beating a boss that I did with Dark Souls. Dark Souls is one of those very, very special games that once you pick up, it is very, very hard to put down. And cannot wait for Elden Ring. Cannot wait for the 25th of February.
Jedi, let me ask you. So I will say this: like the one criticism I can see it being valid is that it feels very samey, the Souls games, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, right? But like seeing this right here, it does look reminiscent of everything we've seen before. Do you think that if they had a really graphically impressive game, would you be more for that? Or are you just like, are you saying this because you're more of a Souls fan, so you kind of overlook that?
Look, I possibly do overlook it, but if you actually go have a look at the level of detail in the world, the draw distances that they're bringing into this game, these are all different. There are differences in the game. You now have a map. That was not in Dark Souls before. Yes, you're going to have the dungeons that you can go into where there won't be a map, and that will be very old school Dark Souls. But the fact that they've added, traversal on horseback, that is also new. So they have added a lot of new things. They've added a lot of verticality to the map. It is different. They've added the fact that you can now stealth through areas. There are, so there is a lot of new things into this game, and that's, just the new things that we know. The fact that you can use different weapons and techniques on different, so if you get a sword, you get a technique for that sword, you can transfer that technique over to the katana. That's new as well. So you're no longer, like, if you really like that technique that you get, that weapon technique that you get on your, broadsword, you can transfer that technique over to another weapon. These are all new things that they have added into the game. It is not as samey as people think. The world is different.
I don't think it's a reskin by any means. I don't think they're pulling a cod on us. That's definitely not what I think. I just would like to see. I know they've got that nice pastel kind of look to their games. I just would like to see a little bit more sheen. I don't think that's
a little more visual flair, if you will.
Yeah,
but I do. I am excited about the horseplay. I like to see how he was riding around and he can summon the steed, I guess you would call it, because he wasn't just a horse. I think he was like on a bull at one point or something like that.
Yeah.
It did look fun. Right. It looked incredibly fun. It kind of reminded me of, like, I don't know, what was that game on PlayStation where you go around taking down the giants? Not Ico, but
Colossus, Shadow of Colossus.
Yeah,
Shadow of Colossus. It kind of reminded me of that when he was fighting the dragon. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I will say that. And before I was kind of like indifferent, but after seeing that trailer, I was like, nah, I'm sold.
Well, I got to ask, Age of Empires. Does anyone actually care about that?
Shout out to Pied in the chat. How are you, mate?
Me personally, it's not my type of game, though I've never really given it a chance, so I can't write it off. I do want to give it a try. I have a gaming PC, so I might just do that on Game Pass for PC. I got a few other buddies who on Twitter said they tried it out, and that's not their type of game either, but they loved it. So if that's anything to go by,
I'm hearing a lot of good things. I'm hearing a lot of good things about it, but me personally, the problem with that game is it's just not on Xbox yet. And will it work with the controller? I don't know, man. Like it's definitely my type of game. I'd get into that. I'd love that. Love that XCOM. I did like Halo Wars. I didn't finish it, kind of thing. I don't mind that sort of stuff. But I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of hype for it because they didn't release it on both machines. I think that was a missed opportunity.
They are, though. They promised on it. They will release it.
Age of Empires 4 has always been that, those PC specific type of games. It's not personally something I'm into. In saying that, it got an 82 on Metacritic. The people that are into those games are loving the fact that they have put a little bit of 2. A lot of people didn't like 3. They think they went too far away from, the actual Age of Empires, game style. They've done a really good mix of 2 and 3. But look, I do agree. There needs to be parity between Xbox Game Pass on PC and Xbox Game Pass on Xbox. And I don't think they've got that parity just quite right yet. And it is a massive shame that it's not on Xbox. And I think it could bring something like Age of Empires into a whole different community because if it drops on Game Pass, so many more people are going to try it out. It's just going to be really hard to nail the controls.
Well, I mean, it is on Game Pass on PC.
Again, I'm talking about parity between Xbox and PC.
Absolutely, and I think it's a good thing. But it's a missed opportunity that they have not dropped it at the same time as they've dropped it on PC, because you've got that hype train happening. You know, I mean, I suppose they'll create more of a hype dropping it on console when it does come. But I just think, again, bit of a missed opportunity not to jump on that train and ride it. But I mean, if it was going to cause problems with development, kudos to them for making that decision, man. That's the right decision if it's going to affect the game.
The historical aspect of it. I like those little History Channel videos that they're introducing into it to break up, so they'll have a video about, the trebuchet. I like that. I think that's a really, really cool technique that they can, add into the game. So if it comes onto Xbox, I'll definitely give it a shot.
I like that, but I'll watch a documentary or two. I suppose I'm getting to that age. What about you, Umbra? Did you mind the documentary elements they had? They showed? Did you see that?
I did, and I was very turned away. I did not like that. I was like, no. As I'm watching it, I actually watched it with the fellas. We had a group chat on Xbox as we watched together, and all of us were like, "What is this?" And they did the trebuchet. I'm like, "Did you all think we wanted to see that?"
Can't you just skip it?
I promise you, we did not. And I'm like, I mean, to those fans who appreciate it, I'm sure it meant the world to them. But I'm like,
so I love that stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine for somebody like yourself. I mean, I'm sure that was oh, that's cool. But maybe even if they did that, just focus less time on that. I'm thinking they got the feedback for that. But when I saw it, I'm like, it just felt like they were missing the mark, because after that E3, you can't go backward. And that E3 was so monumentally great. It's like, how do you have that and then do this? And then they had some of the best announcements they were going to show, saved for Jeff Keighley's show, so it made it even worse. It felt even worse because of that. So I didn't like it too much. But again, I'm not a big fan of that series, so it didn't really impact me maybe as it would somebody who is.
I can understand why they shouldn't have shown it. Really, it's probably not something that you would put on a gaming streaming what's coming soon after E3. I think they might have just been looking for content, to be honest. Because it was a bit of a it's a bit of a light showing.
When she started explaining the trading shares, I'm like, no, don't do this.
Speaking of PC though, God of War's coming to PC. We've kind of, that's been done to death. So we all knew that God of War was going to come to PC. That's a pretty obvious thing to me.
This is the spicy section of the discussion here.
Look, I'm going to make a prediction right now, and you guys can hold me to it. I'm not going to bet anything on it, but I'm going to say that Wolverine will come to PC day and date. I think that's 3 years out, and I think in 3 years, those Sony games, they'll be coming to PC, if not a month after, 2 months after, max. What about you guys? What do you think?
I disagree. I don't think that Sony will ever do day and date. I think they will keep the same pacing that they have now. I think that their games... I know that a lot of people think that eventually they'll do what Xbox is doing. I don't think that Sony is as consumer-friendly, sorry to say it, as Xbox is. The Xbox Play Anywhere initiative, I think, is one of the most consumer-friendly things that I've seen in a long time. The ability to play the game on whatever system you have, I think, doesn't get touted enough. and well done to Xbox and Microsoft for putting that initiative through. But I think Sony will want people to buy the game twice. I think that there will be at least a 6-month spacing between the release of their game on PS5 to keep those people that worship their piece of plastic happy. And they will try and sell the game again on PC. And one of the main reasons, I think, is because the PC game will be $50, $60 on Steam, and it'll be $70 on PlayStation. And I don't think they will be able to do that if they release it day and date. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, I've heard all sides of this argument, and I don't think it'll happen soon, but I do believe day and date will eventually happen. And the reason why is because it's only so long, I think, that Sony can pull the double-dipping anti-consumer move. So I agree with Jedi that they definitely want a double dip. There's no question about it. And even the way he set it off, like how they would charge 60 whatever on Steam and maybe whatever else the options I don't think they would go to Epic, so never mind. So Steam and, so I believe that he's right there initially. But if I would reason that if they're going to go 6 months out to bring it to it, it's kind of like, what's the point? And I think, so after a point, I think the PC gamers would, either they'll be indifferent enough to say, oh, okay, we'll wait, which they will because they're patient enough to do so, knowing that they're going to get the best version, or they'll say it's going to be enough pool because there's so many more of them versus console players where they'll have enough sway to say we want day and date, and Sony will have to acquiesce. So I can see it going day and date for that reason eventually. Also because the word of mouth on Game Pass and for Microsoft allowing their games to go day and date on PC, I don't know if Sony can continue pulling the anti-consumer move of not doing meeting that or matching it in some way. I know people will.
I hope you're right, mate.
Yeah, I know I've had many PlayStation gamers who've debated against that and said no, because Sony relies on selling consoles more than Microsoft, which is true. So maybe they may not. I think if it does happen, it will be years away, I would say. I would say maybe the end of this generation, maybe they'll go day and date. I don't think it'll be soon, I would say, but I think it will eventually happen.
The anti-consumer ways of Sony aren't really impacting their sales of PS5. Their PS5 is the fastest selling console.
But they should.
They've ever had. Yeah, it should. It should. And like Umbra said, the word will eventually get out there of the way the Xbox is doing business. But as long as there are the Pegasus Nation out there in the Twitterverse that are constantly defending the anti-consumer practices of Sony, I believe that it won't happen.
The mean streets of Twitter.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
And also to that point, Xbox's games Xbox has always been this way, where they've focused on the social aspect of gaming. They are a lot of their games are multiplayer focused, and the more people that you get into those games at the start, the better and the longer that game goes for, and therefore the longer that you can sell cosmetics, DLCs. More people will be get on Twitch and talking about it. Sony games are those single player narrative experiences, so you don't really need the community to be playing them all at the one time. Yes, the hype at the start does help, but if it's a great game, everybody's going to want to play it. So another reason why I think they'll keep that 6 month gap.
I think you kind of made the point for us that it will be day and date eventually, though. And the reason why is because you pointed out that Sony specializes or focuses really on single player story driven games. They don't have to worry about the multiplayer component of things, so they don't have to double dip for that reason. They're still going to get their money from the PC side, from PC gamers that prefer to play on PC or want the game to come to PC, and they'll still have the dedicated console gamers who want to play it. Microsoft has to have that. That would be more of an issue for Microsoft since they have multiplayer, more focused games. But they're not doing it, and they're allowing just a single sale to go through and be allowed to play anywhere in most cases, or streamed or whatever. So I think because of Sony being single player focused, eventually they'll just allow it to go day and date, because what are they really losing out in that instance? You see what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I agree.
all
Yeah,
they-
I agree.
all
I
they-
agree with that.
All they've got to worry about is their fan base, which is obviously a really important thing to worry about. Absolutely, it's an important thing to worry about. But I think at the end of the day, when you build a whole new fan base on PC that's probably similar size, if not bigger, where are you going to go?
I hope I'm wrong. And, Sony has picked up Nixus. They've picked up specific developers to port their games over. I hope they go day and date in PC. I just can't see with the leadership they've got at Sony at the moment. I watched that Jim Ryan interview where he said he didn't want the community to be gated. I think that's about as direct as you're ever going to get from Jim Ryan saying that more and more games are going to be coming to PC. Will it be day and date? I suppose only. We'll find out in the future.
Like you said, you've got Ratchet and Clank coming out of those NVIDIA leaks and all that. There's Ratchet and Clank. There was Spider-Man. There was Spider-Man's an older game, but Ratchet and Clank's fairly recent.
Yep.
Returnal is fairly recent. Those are in the leaks. I think it's just a matter of time. These games are they're slowly coming earlier and earlier, and I don't think that's gonna.
They also had Gears 6, and that's a while out. Going on what the coalition is doing. So
that's true. It's something we already knew too, though. Like they already said that they were making Gear 6.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
that we wouldn't know.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Look, I think we kind of glossed over a topic or missed a topic there. I kind of didn't give my opinion on what I thought about Forza 5 early access. Did we talk about that?
No, we didn't. But what do you think about it, mate?
Yeah, we're going to disagree here. Right. So I think Erica cuts for the win. I think she said it best. It just kind of feels a bit dirty. This early access. And it kind of validates some of the PlayStation community's concerns about Game Pass, and I don't like that. It doesn't seem very Phyllis Aurelius Maximus Spencerus to me. It seems like something that Phil wouldn't or shouldn't do. They're charging $68 for early access and DLC. Yep, you get DLC. I don't know what the extent of the DLC is. But I can get that game if I wanted to buy it physical at a shop for 79 Australian, and in Australia they're charging 68. That to me is, to put it in an extremely Australian way, taking the fucking piss, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the DLC for Forza games have always been substantial, to say the least. You'll get a lot for that money.
But how long is it?
I don't know what Umbra thinks. I think we were talking about this before.
How long is it till we don't?
About...
How long is it till we don't get a lot? You know what I mean? Because then they do it with Halo, they do it with the next game, they do it with the next game, and every time you get a little bit less and a little bit less. Is that it's a concern? I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying it's something to watch out for. You've got to be a little bit skeptical about these things sometimes. But yeah, Umbra, you have played it. You do know what you get. You know the whole deal. So what do you think?
My thoughts on it, and going back to the thought of where you just said, like it's getting less and less, or it could get less and less. I'm more of the type where I need to see that it actually start to happen before I get worried about it, right? And so far they haven't done that.
They haven't done that to us yet.
Exactly. So until they give me reason to doubt them, I won't doubt them. They give us super content-rich games. I have no issue. And the reason why I disagree with your take and with Ericut's take on it feeling dirty is simply because, and I've had this discussion with a few other guys, it's simply because the game is advertised to come out November 9th. They never lied. They never changed that stance. And the game is only early access because you have to buy either the $100 or $45 premium add-on. So you either fully buying the game at $100 for the premium ultimate edition or whatever, or you're buying the premium add-on. And I think that incentivizes it. It's kind of a double dip. I will give it that because it gets the sales out of the way. But then you look at it like...
I understand that, and it's a business decision. And Doovie in the chat here, he says you're not getting less. And look, that's an absolutely good point. I'm kind of looking forward to things that aren't happening. You're absolutely right. I am. But I kind of do that. I look ahead and think, well, how could this could go a little bit wrong if they do this with every game and start, giving us less and less.
Well, EA
Yeah,
Play has
but
been
I've
doing it
often
for
hear that
ages.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, EA Play has always given you access. They give you that 10% off, and they also give you a week's early access to, to Madden, to FIFA. TK also do it with, NBA. It's something that is in the industry. It makes people feel a little bit special that they get it a week before everybody else gets to play for it. At the end of the day, it's going to be on Game Pass. It's still a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. You just have to wait that extra few days.
And I think that's the biggest issue. As I was saying before when we talked about it briefly, was basically it's early access is not new. It's not something unique to Game Pass or to Forza. And I think those that are really complaining about it are complaining because of FOMO. And then you have the disingenuous types, the disingenuine. Oh, yeah, I said it right. The disingenuous types, like the PlayStation fanboys.
Yeah.
A lot of the PlayStation fanboys are bragging, "Oh, this is not fair," knowing
they
they
use it
don't.
for a console war, and it does open them up to that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And
You
they use that.
probably.
And then some are so quick to run with that narrative too, because the PlayStation fanboys made fun of it, so now I have to be concerned. No, you don't. The game said they said it'll be
10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, it'll be here November 9th. You guys only have until Tuesday. Listen, the game is a masterpiece, I agree, but you're not missing out. You're going to get it when they said you'll get it. Either that or you could have paid the money to have it early. But if you're a regular standard Game Pass, you should be more than content to wait until Tuesday.
You're probably right. You're probably right. I probably do.
We're going to buy Forza regardless.
I probably do suffer from FOMO. I'm probably suffering from a little bit of FOMO. That might be what's going on. But it's still a little bit bothers me, right?
I think you've been out there on the Twitterverse too much, Brisket, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about those fools, mate.
Yeah, I think it's the FOMO, honestly. I think that's what most of the actual Xbox gamers are feeling or experiencing. But like I said, you have those who are on the opposite side who are just using anything they can to try to make sure that they bring some type of salt somewhere. And I think some have fed into that and, run with that unnecessary narrative too.
Oh, yeah, look, I'm definitely not doing that.
Watching the more than I think we had we've got 11 people watching at the moment. Please hit that like button. To Famous Frosty saying that he loves Destiny 2, but he's getting worse for paying for content. I agree, mate. And we actually thought that when Destiny went back to Bungie, we thought it'd get a lot better. That Activision didn't have their hands on it. It seems to be getting worse. And shout out to Grum, mate. Absolute legend. I don't pay for early access either. But yeah, look, I agree. Everything Playground has showed us we'll get good DLCs coming. Yeah, please hit that like button, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. For more content. Look, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and we'll wrap this up probably after this topic, is something that I've been thinking about for quite some time, and it's a little bit not been in the media. Development cycles and trilogies. I just don't see us getting solid trilogies like Mass Effect, like the Gears trilogy through the Xbox 360. I don't see those development cycles happening this generation. So does that mean we're only going to get one big solid game of any type of game they release? Like, will we only get one Gears 6 and then that'll be it? And then we go to the next generation for Gears 7. Is that what we're...
I don't, I definitely see where you're coming with that. But it's interesting you said that because BioWare just shared a tweet a while ago about N7, the N7 day for them. And they showed a new image teaser, if you will, for Mass Effect for the reboot. I don't think, I want to call it a reboot. Let's say the new... It
is a reboot. I think it is a reboot.
The spiritual reboot, I guess, because it's still playing off the past. Listen, I definitely get your point, and it can go that way if we allow it to get out of hand. I liken it to akin to battle royales, and how those started to take hold, and it's for many of the same reasons. It's kind of have the same similar structure as a live, gaming and what we have in single player games, but I don't think that'll be the case with all games, and I think if we push back on it enough, they'll stop. And I think Mass Effect is going to have an actual trilogy. I think other games that we like the Gears. I think it'll have a continued story, another Gear 7, etc.
Well, that
Unless
was
we
always the
go,
plan for the new Mass Effect. It
yeah,
just, it just didn't go as well as they had hoped. So they've basically gone back to the drawing board. But that was meant to be the start of a new trilogy.
Yeah, I just
yeah.
my concerns are development, the development time that it takes to develop these games.
Yeah, look,
Also,
I
the live,
understand where
the
you're coming
live
from, but you
service.
have to factor in COVID. You have to factor in the fact that everything's got pushed back at least a year. It's very, very difficult to do anything creative-wise when you're not in, an environment where you can all feed off each other, and you're having to upload, things to, all sorts of computers, and you can't really be creative in that type of environment. I think that we'll get back to the way it was now that the world's coming back to normal. And I think a good example of that, the people that probably did it the best was Insomniac. The amount of games that they were able to put out with Spider-Man, and then the Miles Morales, and then Ratchet and Clank. They really did lead the way when it came to putting out games. And, same could sort of be said with the Coalition last generation. They put out, Gears 4 and Gears 5. They said they're going to take a little bit of a break to learn Unreal Engine 5 before they put out Gears 6, and I think that's good because I think Microsoft have been relying too much on them, and they don't need to do that anymore. But I think that development is taking longer for these big, massive AAA games, but that's why Microsoft bought Bethesda.
I think you're right. I think you're right with Gears of War, the Coalition. I think that is one of those studios that that they were relied upon to pump out those games because we had, to be honest, we had nothing else. And I think they are one of those studios that can produce, but I think those studios are few and far between. And I suppose one thing that proves the question wrong is Insomniac. The amount of games that they can seemingly just pump out at quality is rare. But for the rest of the industry, I can't see BioWare pumping out another trilogy through this console. Do you think that's possible? You guys think?
BioWare are a shadow of their for themselves. The BioWare that we knew and loved died the day EA bought them, unfortunately.
I have high hope. I think they had enough fan feedback to understand that what we want going forward. Andromeda wasn't it, right? A lot of fans are.
I think once Casey Hudson left, I know they brought him back for Anthem, but we all know how that went.
Hang on, what were you gonna say, Umbra? Say again.
I was going to also add that there's another studio who is going to be doing something that's kind of unprecedented outside of maybe Insomniac, and that's Obsidian. They have a plan to deliver 7 games in I believe 7 years. That's their plan. So that AAA and AA mix, that would include Avowed. And that's because Jazz Corden was speaking on it recently, and somebody, I think I forgot his name right now, but he's well known too. He was concerned, and Jazz had to let him know, like, no, there's no concern. If they have to delay, they will. They're not going to send out any rushed copies of anything. They're going to make sure they put quality assurance on it. So Obsidian is another team that I think doesn't get enough credit for the quality of what they are delivering in such quick succession.
Yeah. Didn't they make The Outer Worlds in 18 months or something crazy like that? Yep. And you're right. I saw that Jez Gordon thing as well. They've got a team working on The Outer Worlds too. They've got a team working on Avowed, and they've got like a 15-man team working on Grounded. So, yeah, amazing developers. I think one of the best pickups Xbox got, one of the early ones they got, and cannot wait for what they produce in the future.
Doovie said in the chat, going back, he said, what's hilarious is that no one complained about MLB The Show doing the same thing as Forza Horizon 5. That's a pretty solid point, man. That's a pretty solid point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't hear any complaints about that at all.
Doovie said he's never played Mass Effect. Doovie, I would recommend getting the trilogy, the Mass Effect trilogy that just released earlier this year, and playing through them. The one is a little bit difficult to get through. It's a little bit dated now, but 2 and 3 are amazing games. They still hold up to this day. Yeah, give them a go, mate. You will not regret it.
I
agree with that.
You played Mass Effect, Umbra?
Oh yeah, I love it. I haven't played the remaster because I would have rather them make a remake to them. But what I've seen, they look really good, but I wasn't blown away by it, so I would have rather they had an actual remake instead of a remaster. But everybody that's played it said it plays really great, and it had the same feeling they had from the previous game, so the nostalgia is still there. So I might get it eventually, but I wanted a remake. But I'll say this too.
Yeah,
it also adds, by the way, when you brought up MLB The Show, you know, that speculation is typically from Xbox fanboys, to be fair. But they're saying because of that situation, it goes to show us that the proprietor or the owner of whatever, like the MLB, they can dictate to Sony, hey, this has to go multi-plat. We're not interested in just being PlayStation. So what happens if Disney decides to do the same for Spider-Man?
Yeah.
For Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, no. Sony owned Spider-Man, which is unfortunate.
Oh, no.
Disney owned Marvel, but
Sony does not own Spider-Man.
Really? I thought Sony
Disney
owned
owns-
Spider-Man and Marvel, and
No.
Disney owned Marvel, which owned all the rest of them. Okay.
I'm glad we just had that discussion to clear that up. No, Disney owns everything. Sony owns the movie rights for Spider-Man. That's it.
Okay.
So
Cool.
if Disney wanted another company to make a Spider-Man game, for instance, and have them
And why
featured
didn't
in it,
Xbox
they
get
could.
Spider-Man on Marvel Avengers?
Because they didn't want to rock the boat.
Exactly, because they have a very good understanding and I guess agreement with Sony already, where they want to kind of keep Spider-Man brand, you know, I don't want to say what is it, agnostic brand. They want to keep them brand signal as a brand ambassador for them. So they were against it. But then you will notice with Nintendo, they had their own exclusive with the Marvel, what was the name of it? Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man was in that. You see what I mean?
Yeah, well, look,
So what do you think about Coda?
I
Coda
think-
going exclusive to Sony then? Like, that's a Disney property.
That's
owned
time.
by
I
Xbox.
thought it was a slap to the face. I thought it was a slap to the face to Xbox and to Xbox
And-
gamers who experienced it first. But it will come to
I
Xbox
agree.
though. It's not permanently, so it's probably a
Do you
6
think
month
they
type
did
of
that
situation.
because Indiana Jones is going to be on Xbox? We don't know if it's going to be exclusive
Look,
to Xbox,
Pete, I think they did that because Sony has done an amazing job with the IPs that they have with Marvel. And I think that's why they got Wolverine. And that's why I think that they did that, because there's a trust there. A lot of these businesses, whilst they're businesses that make money, they have relationships with each other built on trust. And especially when it comes to video gaming, and if you look back into the past, I mean, if you're old enough, you know that superhero IPs haven't always been the best IPs that come out on gaming. They've usually been terrible.
So true.
And I think
So
Sony...
true. And on top of that too, Sony also has a good working relationship with Disney as far as the movies go with Spider-Man.
Mhm.
I don't think Disney wants to ruin that, because Sony ultimately has to say with the movie licenses as far as Spider-Man goes.
Exactly that. And that's why. That's why I
said
think.
that in the chat as well.
Sorry, what's Grump saying?
That they own the movie rights only.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. I had no idea. But if that's the case, then that's definitely my thoughts on it. It's just a trust thing. Same with, if you look at in the reverse, the lack of trust. Look at EA. EA had the rights to Star Wars, and they did nothing but bad things with
Absolutely nothing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and look at where we are
Although,
now.
although the Battlefield clone did turn out to be quite good in the end,
In the end.
Battlefront 2. Yeah, but that
It's
whole
crazy that they
disaster.
fumbled that, though. That's crazy
Yeah.
that they fumbled the bag.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
can't
I mean,
miss.
how can you stuff up the Star Wars IP? It's virtually impossible.
And it's basically
Yeah.
It's basically Battlefield in Star Wars. How do you mess that up? All you got to do is reskin that goddamn thing and put it out there Like it even caused Germany to make a law to make loot boxes illegal in Germany. I think.
Yeah, sure did. You're right.
Yeah. I really like that. I think it's gambling, and I really like the fact that they did that. I know it's a little bit controversial, but I don't see the problem in knowing what you're going to buy before you buy it. I think that's the way it should be. Otherwise, it is gambling for children.
Yeah, agreed. I agree.
Yeah, I agree, Doobie. Jedi Fallen Order was the epitome of a Star Wars game. Respawn are amazing. Cannot wait for Titanfall 3. Titanfall 2 was an absolutely amazing game. Fallen Order was an amazing game. And Respawn was an absolute steal for the amount of money they paid for them.
Oh, it's a great game.
100% agree.
Great game. And the updates they gave to it for free were just awesome as well. The 60 FPS. Oh
yes, very unusual for EA to give away anything for free.
Buttery smooth, mate. Buttery smooth.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, it's been a great show. Thanks for coming along to the show. Thanks, Umbra, for coming in, and sorry about the false start. And Jedi, thank you for co-hosting. Chat, everyone who turned up in the chat, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for coming along and giving us your opinions and having a listen. Umbra, tell us where we can find you and what you're up to and all that.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for having me, Risky. I appreciate you reaching out, brother, and having me come on the show. Thank you, Jedi, for also extending that out, and you guys just being two cool dudes. I hope everybody comes and who came to support us actually supports and follows you guys here as I will. Thanks, I'm very appreciative of that. This is actually my second podcast I've done now. I have another one scheduled to come up sometime later this month.
Awesome.
But I just wanted to say, if you guys want to find me on Twitter, I think most of you already know. I'm Infinite Umbra on Twitter, and Eternal here on YouTube. It's a long story, but different account. Anyway, just want to thank you all for coming out to support us and things like that. And I'm working on eventually possibly getting my own actual podcast going eventually. But for now, I'm content with guesting.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for the plug. That's amazing. I mean, an amazing show.
Thank you, what an amazing first guest. Please come back, mate. Yeah, absolutely loved talking gaming with you. You're an absolute legend, mate.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge there, man.
Yeah. Please subscribe to Umbra's Twitter. He has a lot of good takes and he drops them all on there. To risk it, mate. Thank you for setting this up, mate. Thank you for asking me to co-host. Nobody sees all the hard work that you've done in the background. It is truly appreciated. I know we didn't get off to the best start, but we're here. We're here to stay. Please like and subscribe. We will be back to our scheduled original time next week. And we will be back on a weekly basis. For everyone here that was here for our inaugural episode, thank you so much. Thank you for joining in the chat. We really, really appreciate it. You guys are what is going to make this show into what it is.
What it is, exactly that. And you can find JediKnightPeter at the link that I posted in the chat. And if you want to find me, I'm out there. You can check out all the links up the top.
It's also my Xbox handle. If anyone wants to follow me on there, follow me on GameScore, ask me to play a game, wherever I'm on, I'm up for that.
Check your credentials, all that sort of stuff. Thanks for coming along, everyone.
Credentials, you have to get it through blood. No, I'm joking. Find me on Twitter, and if I'm cool with you, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I've posted Infinite's Twitter handle in the chat. Just go there and you can find him there. Thanks for coming along, everyone. It's a great show, and I'll